Tzad Yomi Vez by the two dots. So the Mishnah said that the Tanakama holds that the Isser of Ginanasha applies to both the right thigh and the left thigh of the animal. Rav Yehuda said no. Rav Yehuda, Masis and like Rav Yehuda. Our Mishnah is not like Rav Yehuda because Rav Yehuda says it only applies to one of them. The Tan Rav Yehuda Omer, Ein Anay Galaba Achas. The Ginanasha Isser only applies to one of the thighs. Now, which one? He says the following words: Hadas Machras Eshel Yamin. Hadas Machras, which means the das, logic dictates it's the right side. Now the question is, what does that mean, logic dictates it's the right side? There's two options. Either it means that he's not sure, but if he had to guess, it would be the right side, but he's not sure. Or he's saying like this, it's not mafurish, but das, but I have an indication from the Torah that it's the right side. So now he's more confident that it's the right side. So that's the question. Ibaylu, Mipsha Pshitla Rav Yehuda. Is Rav Yehuda confident that it applies only to the right side? And what does it mean, das Torah? That he has an indication from the Torah that it's the right side. So he's poshut to him. Or perhaps he's unsure. Umay das. And what does it mean that das tells us the right side? Das noita means he's saying, if you'd ask me, I would say it's the right side, but I'm not sure. So that's the question. Is Rav Yehuda confident it's the right side, or is he misapik whether it's the right side? So Tashima, the Brisa says like this. Now the Brisa is referring to, the halacha is that if you have a carbon that has left over, it becomes nicer and you have to burn it. Now Erev Pesach, you have the carbon Pesach, which is, the expiration date is the beginning of the 15th. But you can't burn it on the 15th because that's Yom Tif. We don't burn nicer on Yom Tif, so you have to wait till the first day of Chol Moed, which is the 16th. So the Brisa says, Hatzames, the bones of the carbon Pesach, Hagidin, the sinews, the Hanaiser, and all leftover meat. Yisrafen l'shisha, so you burn on the 16th. Now, Noiser means you have leftover meat. I get it. Atzamas are the bones. Fine. Why does it have to say gidin? Gidin are the sinews. Because I don't understand. If the gidin are edible, then they're nicer. If you left it over, it's nicer. If they're inedible, then they have the status of bones. So, meaning bones are inedible parts of the Karm Pesach. Nicer is all the edible parts that you left over. Why does the Bryce have to say gidin? Says the Gemara, we ask the question, what type of gidin are they? If they're sinews of flesh and they're edible, then you should eat them. And if you left them over, hainu nicer. So what exactly, why does the Bryce have to say gidin, which implies there's like a separate category? That you don't eat them, but they're burnt on the 16th. It must be the sinews of the neck, which they're not edible. So says the Gemara, ilav basin in ulishdinu. Well, if they're not edible, then why do you have to burn them at all? Just discard of them, throw them out. So what do you? I don't understand. So what's the deal of this of these gidin? Says the Gemara. Amrav Chizda le'nitzach l'gidanasha. It's referring to the gidanasha. The gidanasha, because you can't eat it, you burn it on the 16th. But here's the question: Hanan said, if it's aser, it's aser. So that's included in nicer. Says the Gemara, I'll leave it to Rav Yehuda. It follows Rav Yehuda the inanoygal ba'achas. That only applies to one of them. So you take the sinew of one of the thighs and you burn on the 16th. Now, that's all the Brisa says. It doesn't really explain itself too well, but it's just saying that when the Brisa says gidin, that you burn on the 16th, it's referring to Rav Yehuda's shita. Now, says the Gemara, if Rav Yehuda is unsure whether it applies to the right or to the left, so that means that each sinew, you see, if it's mamish iser, then okay, then it's pashut, it's nicer. And if it's edible, it's also nicer. Why do you need like a special category of gidin? So if it's gidanasha, if Yehuda is unsure which side it is, it makes sense. You have these two gidanashas, you got the right side and the left side. One of them is mutter, one of them is asa. He doesn't know which one, so you can't eat either. So because one of them is mamish mutter and one of them is mamish asa, you just don't know, so you have to wait till the 16th. It's its own category. But if you hold that he's confident it's the right side, so then why is there a new category of sinews? The left side you should be able to eat. The isur l'shtinu, and the right side you throw out. You only have to burn it if it has a status of basar. If it's mamash asar, then just discard of it. So you tell me it's Rav Yehuda. If Rav Yehuda is misapik, then I get it. You can't discard of it because it might be actual basar, but you can't eat it because it might be asar. So that's why you have to burn it. But if Rav Yehuda is confident, and it's only the right side that's a problem, so then eat the left side and throw out the right side. So says the Gemara, Amrav Ika, because we had yesterday that if you the gidanasha of a carbon, not the oil, of the gidanasha of a regular carbon, you just throw out. They would throw it in the canal. So says the Gemara, Amrav Ika bar Chanina, la'olam emelach mipshap shitale. Really, Rabbi Yehuda is confident. So why do you have to burn it? Why can't you just discard of the isser and eat the heter? The answer is very simple. You have the right side in front of you and the left side in front of you, and I know which one is which. And then they got mixed. They get all mixed together. So because they got mixed together, meaning if you happen to know which one is the right and which one is the left, you don't have to burn it because you'll eat the left and throw out the right. The case is with the right one and the left one got mixed together. And because I'm not sure, that's meaning because I don't know which one is which. See, he is confident, but it's a case of mess up. Okay, Rav Ashi says a different shot. Again, the kasha is, if Rav Yehuda is confident that you just throw out that you can't eat the right one and you can eat the left one, then why do you have to burn any of them? Eat the left and throw out the right. So the first case is where they got mixed up. Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi says, you're right, the actual gid anasha you don't have to burn. It's the fat on top of the gid anasha that is rabbinically forbidden, that you have to burn. You can't throw it out because it's minat Torah mutter, but you can't eat it because it's midrabanan aser, for that you burn. The fat on top of the Gid Anasha is Shamrei Mutter, because the Brisa says on a biblical level, the fat on top of the Gid Anasha is Mutter. Chazal made an Isser, lest you come to eat the Gid Anasha, and therefore that's what the Brisa is referring to. Or a third Mahalach, Ravina Amar Lenitzach Rav Yehuda Meshmuel, the Brisa follows Rav Yehuda Meshmuel, Rav Yehuda Meshmuel, Shnei Gidin. They're actually two sinews that run through the thigh. Pnimi Samach La'etzem, the inner one which is close to the bone, that's Aser V'chayvelim, that's Aser Deraisa, and then the Chitzon, the outer one, which is closer to the flesh, that's Aser Derabanan. So when it says that you have to burn, that's talking about the outer one because it's only Aser Derabanan. Can't eat it because it's Aser Derabanan, can't throw it out because it's Mutar Minat Torah, and that's what it's referring to. Tashema, the Brisa says like this. Ochal Mizeh, which again, we're trying to figure out what is Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. Is he confident that it's the right side, or is he misapik whether it's the right side? So the Brisa, we had this before. If a person eats the Gid Anasha of the right side and the Gid Anasha of the left side of a kazayis, Sefik Shmainim, you get 80 lashes because that Tanakama believes that there's Nisr on both sides. Rav Yehuda Omer in a Sefik Rav Yehuda says you only get lashes for 40 because it's only one. Now, if you hold that he's confident it's the right side, that's how you get lashes. But if he's misapik, then you can't get lashes. Why? If he's not sure which one, and I ate both, you wouldn't get lashes. You'll say, why not? I ate both. The answer is because that's a suffix. Every time I'm about to eat something, right? I'm about to eat the right side, you can't warn me I'm going to get lashes because maybe that's not the asa one. And then when you eat the left one, you can't warn me either. It's hasra suffix by definition. And Rabbi Yehuda's shita is, as we'll see in a moment, hasra suffix is not a hasra. The Gemara says, if he's confident that it's the right side, that's how you can get any lashes. But if you hold that he's a suffix, it's a suffix whether it's the right side or the left side, then he wouldn't get any lashes. You say, why not? Why wouldn't you get some lashes? And it's a happily hasra suffix, because it's a suffix hasra. And Rabbi Yehuda's shita is the hasra suffix loishma hasra, that it's not a valid warning. Tanya, where do we find Rabbi Yehuda says it's not a valid warning? Because the Bryce is referring to a situation where someone is not sure who his father is. His mother divorced and then remarried the next day, which you're not supposed to do, and he's not sure who his father is. And the Bryce says, he hit this one and then he hit that one, so he hit both of them. Or he hit them both at the same time. Ravida says, if you hit one and then the other, it's pater. Why? Because each hitting, it's asra suffix. So you see that Rabbi Yehuda's sheet is asra suffix is not asra, and therefore, if he holds that you get lashes at all for eating both thighs, it must be that he's confident on the right side. Because if he's a suffix, it'll be asra suffix. Says the Gemara, no, really, he's misapik. So why do you get any lashes? What about hasra suffix? The answer is there's a different version of Yehuda that holds that hasra suffix is a hasra. You're right. The Rav Yehuda we just quoted regarding hitting the father, that indicates that Rav Yehuda holds hasra suffix, not hasra. But there's a different Rav Yehuda. The Tanya, we said that there's a concept of noiser, which is that if you leave over a carbon, it's an issa deraisa, but then you have an opportunity to burn it and fix it. Now everyone agrees there's no lashes for noiser. The question is why. Rabbi Yehuda says the reason why there's no lashes is because it's a lav that can be rectified by an asay. Anytime you could fix the lav by burning it, then it's a lav and nitak. Asay, there's no lashes. Now, what about the fact that it's hasra suffix? There's a different reason why, it should not get lashes. Hasra suffix. Why? I'm about to leave it over, and then you're going to say, if you leave it over, then what? Hasra, it's by definition hasra suffix because we had this a while ago, because the warning has to be right before. If I warn you, let's say, if you leave it over tonight, that's asur safek, because if you say, if you leave it over tonight, yeah, but right now I'm not leaving it over. It's a safek whether it'll happen. By definition, this Tana believes that every time you warn someone about something that happens later on, it's a hasra safek. Because you can't say, like, the next second you'll be over Nisr, because it's not true. The next second I'm not over Nisr, I'll be over Nisr tonight. And therefore, by definition, it's a hasra safek. You can't tell me that I'm going to be over Nisr tonight, because I don't know it. It's too far away. So why? So everyone agrees there's no lashes for Noiser. Rabbi Yehuda is saying the reason why there's no lashes is because lavanitik laseh, and Rabbi Yaakov says he says that there's no lashes because lav shem b'maisa. There's no maisa. What about the fact that it's hasra safek? And this Tana believes that Noiser is a case of hasra safek. So it must be this version of Yehuda holds that hasra safek is a hasra, and therefore you have to come on to other reasons. So it could be that, really going back to our discussion, of Yehuda Taka holds that it is he's misapik whether it's the right side or the left side, but it's a hasra safek. And he holds that hasra safek is a hasra. So potentially it's not a raya. We're still not sure what Rabbi Yehuda holds. So Tashema, if you ate 2 ginanashes from 2 thighs of 2 different animals, safek ar shmainim, you get 80 lashes. Why not? Rabbi Yehuda Aymein is safek al arbar. Maybe this says no, you only get 40 lashes. Now that's a chiddush because I ate 2 thighs. I ate right side from both animals. Now, before we understand why Rabbi Yehuda said 40 as opposed to 80, the Gemara says, what's the point of this? Isn't it pashut? It must be we're talking about you ate the right side from both. So what's the chiddush? Rabbi Yehuda, so the chiddush is for Rabbi Yehuda that you dafka get lashes because you ate from 2 different animals. It must be that he's pashut to him. Because if he's misapik, then why are you getting any lashes? Right? If he's not sure which side, and then I ate from 2 animals, I ate the right side from both animals, I wouldn't get any lashes because maybe the Isser is really on the left side. So the very fact that you get any lashes at all indicates that he's confident. Now there's an obvious question. Now there's an obvious question. If he's confident, then why do you only get 1 set of lashes? You should get 80 lashes. If he's confident on the right side, and you ate the right side from both animals, so eat pshitale, amai saivig arboim masulai, lulki shmainim, that you should get 80 lashes. So the Gemara says, I'm going to less kazayis. We had this earlier in the Masechta. The case is takiyeh from both sides. But one of them was not a kazayis. The chiddush of Yehuda is that you don't get lashes if it's less than a kazayis. The Tanakama disagrees. The Tanakama believes that even if it's less than a kazayis, if that's the entire gidanosha, that's the barrier of the gidanosha, you'll get lashes. If this is no, it has to be a kazayis. Tanya ach levim bekazayis. If you eat the entire gidanosha, but it's less than a kazayis, chayiv, the Tanakama says. And Rabbi, this is no, it's shiyeh by kazayis. Okay. The conclusion of the Gemara is Rabbi Yehuda's confidence the right side. What's the Rabbi Yehuda's source that it's the right side? Amarava, Amarkra, Ha Yoreach. Ha means the. Ha Miyuna Shabareach, the most distinguished. The right side, which is more chashiv and stronger. So Ha Yoreach means that it has to be the right side. Now the Rabbanan who believe that both sides are aser, what do they do with Ha Yoreach? So Hahu the Pashadi Surah B'Kul Yoreach Lafuke Chitzin Loi. What they mean is like this. The Isser of Gidanosha permeates the entire thigh, meaning it's the inner thigh. When they say Hayareach, it doesn't mean right as opposed to left, because it's both right and left. What it means is Hayareach means the inner part of the thigh. It's the inner sinew and not the outer sinew. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Amar, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi has a different shot for Rabbi Yehuda, that it's only the right side, because Amar Kra, Be'av Ka'imai. So what's the source of Gidanosha? It's because Yaakov Avinu was fighting with the Malach Sashal Esav, and so Rabbi Yehuda is saying that he only dislocated the right side, as opposed to the Rabbanon who dislocated both. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, I'll tell you the source that he dislocated the right side only, because Be'av Ka'ima, it says that they wrestled. Now wrestled implies that you grab someone. Now if I'm facing you and I grab you, my arm, and like give you like a bear hug, my arm will go around your back and it'll hit your right thigh. Be'av Ka'ima implies that they wrestled, that he like grabbed him like a bear hug. The Malach, Sashal Esav, grabbed Yaakov, and his arm wrapped around him, hitting his right side. I mean, the point is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if it's the right side and it comes from the Sashal Esav fight, that means that that's the thigh that was dislocated. So he's saying, why? Because Be'av Ka'imai. The Gemara says, Ka'adam shechoyvek schaveroi v'yodoi magas l'kaf yamina shechaver. It's like a person who gives a bear hug to his friend, and his arm wraps around, hits the right thigh. Two other sources of why it was the right thigh, the Gemara is going to say, is because Yaakov Avinu was standing to his left. Now, if someone is standing to my left, Yaakov was to the left of the Malach. Now, if he's standing to my left, that means the Yaakov in his right thigh is the closest thing to the Sar Shalesav, and it was the closest proximity, and that's why he hit him. Now, why was Yaakov Avinu to the left of the Sar Shalesav? So the Gemara says it's a machlokes. That the Sar Shalesav appeared like a guy, and the halacha is that when a guy is traveling with you, you always put him to your left. The Jew should be on the right side, and the guy should be. Meaning the Jew should keep the guy to his right. Meaning the Jew should stay to the left of the guy. The reason being is because if you see that the guy's about to do something, your right side will be closer to him. Therefore, you'll be able to use your right hand to restrain him. So because Yaakov Avinu thought that Sar Shalesav was a guy, he was standing to his left, hence his right thigh was in closer proximity, and that's why he was hit. No, the opposite. The Sar Shalesav looked like a Talmid Chacham. And also Talmid Chacham, you're supposed to be to the left of a Talmid Chacham. So either way, he was to the left. When you're walking with your Rebbe, you don't walk to his right, you stand by his left. So therefore, Yaakov was on the left either way, either because he appeared like a guy to him, or he appeared like a Talmid Chacham. Now the Rabbanan who believe that both sides were dislocated, they say no, the Sar Shalesav actually came up from behind and struck both thighs and dislocated both. For Rabbanan, hi ba'avka imay darshibe. Now, what did the Rabbanan say with the pasuk ba'avka imay? Because we said ba'avka imay means to wrestle. That was the source that he bear hugged him and his arm wrapped around, hitting the right side. But according to the Rabbanan, that both sides were dislocated. What does mean ba'avka imay? So now, from here until most of the rest of the daf, some of the most famous madrashas of Chazal. You know this from Rashi. Quotes from this Gemara. He's using it for the other teaching of Shuman Levi. Don't remember Shuman Levi. Melamed shehelu avak margalois avakisi hakavod. Be'avka imay is an indication. Be'avka, which is a lashon from avak, that the dust of the fight went up to the kisi hakavod. Ksiv hacha be'avka imay. It says over here the word be'avka imay. Ksiv hasa ma'anan avek raglav. So over there, clouds of the dust. So the point is. So you see that the v'avik, the dust carried up to the kisei haka. From Rabbi Shuman Levi says, Lama nikra shmai gid anasha. Why is it called gid anasha? Shenosha b'mkaimai. Because gid nasha means to move. It moved from its place. It got dislocated. V'ala, and it went up in the thigh. V'chein woimer. The strength sprung away and it became weak like women, so it moved. That Hashem sent something in Yaakov and it affected Klal Yisrael. This is referring to the Gin HaNasha. The thing that Hashem sent to Yaakov was the hit of the Gin HaNasha. V'nofel b'Yisrael affected all of Klal Yisrael. Shebash Yisur b'Chol Yisrael. Because then all of Klal Yisrael are now osir to eat the Gin HaNasha. Now, v'Amar of Yosef bar Chanina Melechsiv. Now when Yosef HaTzadik tells his sons to prepare a meal for the brothers, it says Utvoyach Tavach v'Hochem. Let the meat be slaughtered and prepare it. It says the Gemara. The extra words are to tell him that when Yosef told Menashe and Ephraim to prepare the meat for the Shvatim, what he meant was you have to prepare it halachically correct. Tavoyach tavach, parlem beis hashchita. Show them the makam hashchita of the animal before you cook it, so that they could see that it was shechted properly. And v'hachin, prepare it. Zetol gin hanashe b'fneim. You have to remove the gin hanashe in front of them. In other words, Yosef was saying these brothers are not going to be eating unless they know that it's 100% kosher. So therefore, you have to remove the gin hanashe in front of them. Now says the Gemara. We said before, we had a machlokes referenced earlier. We're going to talk more about it later on, whether gid hanashe is only also to Jews or also to all Goyim. The Gemara says the Shvatim, who Yosef is saying, remove the gid hanashe in order for them to eat the meat. That means that the Shvatim were not allowed to eat the gid hanashe. And the presumption is that the Shvatim at that point, before Matan Torah, had the status of Goyim. So you see that Goyim are not allowed to eat the Ginanasha. Command Omar, Ginanasha Nesel B'nei Noach. Okay? The Pasuk says before the fight of Yaakov and the Sarshal Esav, it says, Vayivose Yaakov Levad, Yaakov was alone. And why was he alone? when he got attacked. Amar Belazar Shenishtayer Loi Pachim Ketanim. He went back to get the small jars. The Megalamuka says the small jars, the jar of Pachshemen of Menorah. But Mikan, the very fact that he went back for the small jars is you see that Tzadikim, Shechav Alei Memoinim Yoisim Megufam. Their property is more precious than their own bodies, that they're willing to go back. Their money is so limited that they don't want to waste it, that even if it puts them in danger. Because they don't steal. So their money is limited because all they have is theirs mamish. Rav Yavik Yeshima Elois HaShachar. They fought until dawn. Amr Rav Elazar Mekan L'Tam Chacham Shelo Yetze Yechidi B'Layla. The very fact that Yaakov was alone at night and he got harmed tells me that a Tam Chacham should not go out at night. We learn from the story that a Tam Chacham should not go out at night. Rav Acha Bar Kahana Amar Mehocha. A couple other sources that a Talmid Chacham should not go on. Go on the next page. Hine hu zayre es garin asarim. This is Naomi was telling Rus to find Boaz. She was saying that he'll be sleeping at the silo where he's doing the grain. Why? Because he was threshing at night, and she knew that Boaz would not travel at night, so he'll sleep there, and that's how you'll be able to find him. So you see that Talmid Chacham doesn't travel at night. Ravo says another source that Avram Avinu went to do the Akedah. It says he left early in the morning. Now why didn't he leave at night? Because the Talmid Chacham doesn't travel at night. Rabbana says a different source. The pasuk is saying, the pasuk indicates that Lechna Re'eh, the fact that this is when Yaakov sent Yosef to find the brothers before he was sold. It says Lechna Re'eh, go see, implying that it was during the daylight, that Yaakov did not send them to leave at night, only during the day. Rav Amar Mehocha, a different source, Vayizrach Loi Hashemesh. The pasuk says that after the fight with Yaakov and Sarshal Esav, it says the sun rose, and then he traveled. Okay, so you see that he only traveled during the day. Amrav Akiva, Sha'alti Yisrav Gamliel v'Sirshua be'itliz shal imum sha'holchu likach behem l'misha b'nei Shav Gamliel. They were traveling to a chasana. So I asked the following question. It says Vayizrach Loi Hashemesh. The sun rose for him, for Yaakov. V'chi Shemesh Loi levad zarcha halei kol ha'olam zarcha. What does it mean that the sun rose for Yaakov alone? The sun rose for the whole world. Amrav Yitzchak, so they said as follows: Shemesh haba b'avuroi zarcha b'avuroi. It means the same sun that set prematurely rose prematurely for him. Meaning Ataka rose earlier, but it's apropos because there was a different time in history previous to this where the sun set prematurely. This is the famous Gemara, the beginning of Parshas Vayetze. It says D'chsiv, Vayetze Yaakov Be'ershava v'yelech Haran. It says Yaakov left Eretz Yisrael and he went to Haran. Now, if you stop right there, that pasuk implies that he's in Chutz La'aretz. But then it says, and he reached the place, which is the Har HaBayis. So I understand, is he back in Chutz La'aretz? Is he in Chutz La'aretz? Is he back in Eretz Yisrael? So Kimat l'Charan, but the story goes like this. He left. He got to Haran, and then he said to himself, did I pass the Makam HaMikdash, a place where my father davened that I didn't daven? So as soon as he went back to Eretz Yisrael, so meaning he taka left to Haran, he taka got to Haran, but then he went back. So he goes back. The second he wanted to go back, there was a kvitzas haderech that he was already back to the Makam HaMikdash. But Yifka b'Makam means he reached the place, like he like the place banged into him, like it went quick. Now, so he davens there. He davens Ma'ariv, he instituted Ma'ariv, and then he wants to leave. Kad Sali Boy Lameda, he wanted to go back to Haran. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, Tzadik Zeh Ba Lebeis Maloyni V'Yifta B'Melina. He comes to my place, and I'm not going to let him stay for the night. So Miyad B'Hashemesh, Hashem made it sunset, forcing him to sleep there. But that's the sun setting prematurely. By the way, you see from there that he went back to the Kotel, he went to the Makam HaMikdash, davened Ma'ariv, and then was going to leave, and then the sun set. So you see, Taisa says, you see from here that he davened Plag. The first Ma'ariv of all time was Plag, because he was davening Ma'ariv and the sun was still up. Okay. Now that we mentioned Yaakov Avinu leaving Eretz Yisrael, the Yetzei, we're going to talk about some of the more famous midrashim. It says that he was going to sleep that first night. He took the stones, multiple stones, but then the pasuk says he took the stone. So was it one stone or multiple stones? Amr Yitzchak famously, all the stones gathered to become one stone. Meaning, Hashem, he had all these stones, and each stone is pushing because they say, I want to have the head of the tzaddik on me. A miracle happened, they all became one stone. He sees a dream, and there's a ladder on his ground, and it's going up to the top. Now, how wide was this ladder? Whatever this means. So we know, the Gemara is going to point out that there were 4 malachim going up, because there were malachim going up and malachim going down, so there must be room for 4 malachim, 2 going up and 2 going down. And each malach is 2,000 parsa wide. So it says the Gemara, Tana, Kamarach Mishal Sulam, I can figure out the calculation of how wide the ladder is, Shmoina Alaf and Parsa, so it was 8,000 parsa, because each malach is 2,000 parsa wide, whatever that means, and there were 4 malachim. 2 going up, 2 going down. They have the arba. So that means that there's 4. There's room for 4. We know the dimensions of the malach. It says Tarshish. Its body was the size of Tarshish, the sea of Tarshish. And the sea of Tarshish is 2,000 parsa wide. And what was the nature of these malachim? Why were they going up and going down? So they would go up to Shemaim, and they saw on the faces of the Chayas HaKodesh, these malachim, they're called the holy chariots. The Chayas HaKodesh, they have 4 faces, and one of the faces is that of man, and it looks like Yaakov. So they were going up, seeing the face of Yaakov on these holy malachim. And they were coming down and saying, oh, that's the same person down here. So they were going up and going down to try to compare and contrast. Now, because they saw that Yaakov was both up and down, the jealousy caused Yaakov to almost be harmed. Miyad v'hine Hashem nitzav alav. That's the pasuk says that Hashem stood over him. Hashem was going to protect Yaakov Avinu. Amr Shimon Lakish ilmali mikra kasav yavshal. The truth is, if not for this pasuk, you wouldn't be allowed to say this, because what does the pasuk mean? Ka'adam shemeinif al b'noi. That Hashem Kaviyachal was standing over Yaakov like fanning a sun to protect him from the heat. That Hashem was standing over Yaakov to protect him. The pasuk says that Hashem told the Yaakov Avinu, the land that you're lying on, I'll give to you. My Rabusa, what do you mean the land that I'm lying on? Just those couple feet. Hashem took all of Eretz Yisrael and folded it under Yaakov Avinu so it would be easy for Yaakov to conquer. Now the pasuk says, so after going back to the fight of the Yaakov and the Sar Shalesa, the Sar Shalesa said, Shalcheni, send me away, ki Allah hashachar, because the morning came. So Amr la Yaakov said to the Malach, Ganavata okubius tasata, what are you, a thief or a kidnapper? Shemisyar ben hashachar, you have to leave in the morning, well, you can only hang out at night. The second morning comes, well, what's going on? Amr la, so he said, Malachani, I'm a Malach Hashem, umiyom shenavreisel giz mani lebeshir ad achshav. And I was never able to sing Shira until this morning. And Malachim only able to sing Shira once in their life. And this is my one opportunity, and it's right now, so I have to go. Say Shachris. This concept that a Malach is only able to say Shira once is like Rav Chanan al-Marab says, every day, we know the Malachim say Kaddish, 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 Hashem Tzavakas. The truth is, one set of malachim don't say all that. Each malach, there are 3 groups of malachim, and they only say it once in their life. One group says Kaddish. Achasayim is Kaddish. The second group says Kaddish, and the last one says Kaddish Hashem Tzavakas. Now the Gemara is going to mention a kash. I'll say it out, so we'll see it inside. You say there's 3 groups of malachim. The first one says Kaddish, the second one says Kaddish, and the third one says Kaddish Hashem. That third group says Kaddish Hashem. That means that they say the name of Hashem immediately after Kaddish. That means they say Hashem's name as a second word in a topic, in a sentence. The problem is, there's a brayso that says that the difference between Klal Yisrael and Kadosh Baruch Hu is that we say Shema Yisrael Hashem, that we say Hashem as the third word, but Malachim only say it as the fourth word, because they say Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish Hashem. So how could you say that there's a group that says Kaddish Hashem, which implies that Hashem is the second word of the praise? I thought the whole difference in Jews and Malachim is Malachim only say Hashem's name after the fourth word of the praise. Meisvei Chavivin Yisrael Fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yosem Malachi Asharis. The Brisa says that Jews are more dear before Hashem than even Malachim. She Yisrael Oimim Shir B'chol Shah, because the Jewish people say shir whenever we want. Malachi Asharis and Rishila Pamachas B'Yoyim, and Malachim only say shir once a day. V'Amila Pamachas B'Shabbos, and some Malachim only say once a week. V'Amila Pamachas B'Chodesh, and others say they only say once a month. V'Amila Pamachas B'Shana, some say once a year. V'Amila Pamachas B'Shua, some say once every 7 years. V'Amila Pamachas B'Yoyim, once every 50 years. V'Amila Pamachas B'Olam, and the truth is, some say they only say once in a lifetime. The Yisrael Maskin Hashem Achashtei Shemus, and the difference also is that Klal Yisrael praise Hashem after two words. Shema Yisrael, 1, 2, Hashem, it's the third word. Malachi Asharis, Ein Maskiris Hashem Malach Shalosh Tevis. But Malachim only praise Hashem after three words. Kedesiv Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish Hashem. So they say Hashem, but it has to be the fourth word. Malachi Asharis and Meshila Maila, Hashem Meshila Tamata, and Malachim only say shir above, and we say shir below. They're responsive. Shnemar, Kronyachad, Koich Ve'boiker, V'hada Ve'yiriol B'nei Elikim. The point is, though, so how could you say that the third group says Kaddish Hashem? I thought the whole point is that they can't say Shira unless they say a few words before Hashem's name. So Ella, we have to change it. Achasemeres Kaddish. Achasemeres Kaddish. One group says Kaddish. The second group says Kaddish Kaddish. The third group says Kaddish 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 Hashem Tzavakos. So they're saying Hashem, but it's the fourth word. It says the Gemara Malachim have to say three words before Hashem's name, but isn't there a group that says Baruch Kvoid Hashem Imkaimai? That's Hashem, and it's the third word, Va'ika Baruch. So the Gemara says two answers. Baruch Eifanim Hudamrilei. First of all, the average malach does not say the words Baruch Kavod Hashem Imkaim. That's the Eifanim, which are a high level malachim. Generally, malachim need to say three words as a hachana, except for the Eifanim, they could say it as the third word. Okay, they're different. Or Iba Yisema Kivan Disyayev Rishusa Isyayev. Or perhaps it's different. Normally you have to say three words as a hachana, but once you say three words, meaning once the first group of malachim said Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish Hashem, once they've already praised Hashem, the second group can respond Hashem's name even as the third word. So the first group has to be fourth word. The second group could be the third word. I will stop.